For the farmhouse.
I'd like to call the meeting and welcome everyone. Jennifer had asked me to give copies of the road committee and the road commissioner ordinance to everyone. I'm gonna have to email them to everybody, just because I only have one copy. So email them for your review and let me know. And my primary purpose tonight was to go over the grant applications. Yesterday, I went and took pictures of 3 culverts. I went to West Shore, H Road, and New Bridge. So Jennifer wasn't able to print copies of everything, so I'm gonna have everyone just take my tablet where I took the pictures and just go through them. So you can just swipe, and then just pass the tablet around for everyone to look at.
Where are these?
Those ones are New Bridge.
Okay.
The second set is
H Road.
H Road, and then the last one is West Shore. So, as you go through, now Will told me on H Road there was a lot of debris blocking the culvert when I was there.
Yeah, you can see
So,
it, that one.
How did you see that?
I stopped this morning, because I saw the water rising, the water looked a lot higher this morning, so I stopped on the way home, and so I went home, got a rake, and spent an hour down there, and got everything out of there.
So, because I wasn't sure if it was a beaver dam.
I was gonna say, if it's beavers, they'll be back again. The never-ending beavers.
No. I've spent a lot of work on the applications, looking for information. Has everyone seen the applications? Joe, I have a copy for you that, highlights of things that I need your help with.
Look at this if you want, it's just my.
I highlighted, things.
Follow along.
So, if you could take a look at that, fill in whatever, what you can. Some of it you're not gonna know because of, history.
How do you get this to large?
We're still working.
And then you just, I think you just swipe back. Yes.
Does anyone else want to look a copy of the application before I check? Evan, do you want to take a peek?
Sure, you got it.
I need it back because I have to give it, I have to send that to, Dave Langley for his, because all of the technical stuff I can't answer.
Filled it up so much.
Yeah. But I did go through, I mean, in the what they're requiring for the application is really quite extensive. I've had to go through and get, maps, satellite pictures, pictures of the culverts, all of the fish information. Take a look at that. Well, I can give you this one if you want to pass that along to Dave.
I gave, okay. I had a copy too, so let her look at it.
Okay.
So when do these have to be in by?
They have to be in by, they have to be submitted by June 3rd.
No, if you need.
However, we have to give these to the selectmen at the latest at the week prior at the selectmen meeting. So we're looking at May 28th. We have to give them to the selectmen completed so they can sign them.
And is it first come, first serve for the grants?
No,
Or is
it's-
it they hold everything until the third?
They hold everything, and then they score them according to different criteria. 50% of the score is if it affects fish, and there's certain fish that they're looking for. They're really concentrating on brook trout. And that information actually is out there. There was a few websites that were in the book from the stream crossing class that I was able to go into and access an awful lot of data. I think our biggest problem is going to be the state is looking to get away from round culverts, and they want more culverts with natural bottoms. So that's a lot of what they're gonna be looking for. Now, I do have a quote that Dave gave me for H Road. We're gonna need a quote for West Shore.
Yeah, I think the guy I met with from, EJP, I think he was working on that, but I think we need, but I don't think we have the dimensions of how big the culvert is. He said if we have to, he'll come down and measure it himself, if he has to, because that's what we're waiting on.
Right, okay.
So if we have to, I'll go measure it myself if I have to, so we can get the ball rolling on it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if we have a preliminary estimate,
Are you looking for a whole new culvert there, or are you doing the slip that, I know you talked about that.
Dave was saying, he was suggesting that for H Road and for West Shore to slip line it.
Okay, that's
That's gonna be a hard sell to the state for this grant.
so,
Yeah. Because what they're looking for is more of a natural bottom.
okay.
For the fish. Now, of course, with West Shore being with the boat launch, and boats pass through there,
Yeah,
you know, I'm not quite sure how that all enters in. So there's a lot of things that we need to take into consideration, and hopefully just with the safety aspects of it, that we can overcome that hurdle with slip lining those two. New Bridge, I don't think we could get away with that.
right.
And at this point, I'm not quite sure if we're gonna make this round with New Bridge. Because the second set of applications are due in September, or they open in September.
Okay.
And I think they're due beginning of November. So we've got, you know, I don't see how we can pull it all together with not knowing how to actually, the best route to go with that particular site.
Right.
So,
At least there is some time, there is gonna be another, which is a good thing to be
yeah.
able to collect all the stuff.
I mean, I've spent some time and done the work with you know, finding the wildlife stuff and the fish. There's actually even an endangered, let me see, an endangered bird over near that area that will add to our score for that. And it was some kind of a swallowtail.
Whatever works, right?
Wildlife is 30% of the score, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there, any fish in the H Road?
Let me pull it out, because I was like losing my paperwork. I had to,
And if the score is 30%, we don't have fish there.
so on H Road, according to the state, and this is from a state website, the main, inland fish and wildlife, it says brook trout, brown trout, smallmouth bass, in that area.
Wonder how they got there.
I don't know. I don't know.
On their way.
State used to put them in there.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Department of Inland Fisheries used to stock that.
The one on H Road?
Yeah.
Really? Oh. But that's, according to the state website, that's what's there.
Great.
So,
Well, they all must be endangered because they can't go anywhere.
so, anyway, so, what questions does everyone have? I mean, I'm looking for any kind of
So who
input that
who would
anyone-
sign the application?
it's gonna have to be the selectmen. We don't have the authority to do that. I mean,
Or would it be the road commissioners?
they're calling it a bidders organization name, so I would think that it would be the town of Acton.
Okay.
And if it was the town of Acton, it would be the selectmen.
Okay.
I did get a, and I think you were all, everyone on the committee was CC'd this. DEP did answer a few questions that we had. If town meeting does not approve the matching funds, the grant would just go back into the pot and be awarded to someone else. So that was the one thing Michelle had worried about, was that in us applying for these, that we would encumber the town. So, it would still have to go through, a special town meeting if we were awarded these grants to appropriate the funds.
So for these 3 sites, do we have all the paperwork that is needed to ensure that it is municipal owned?
Well, they're on town roads.
Right, but you need to put that paperwork together.
Actually, you don't. The only question, it asks if it's a municipal road. And really, all it says is the proposed structure to be replaced is a culvert located on a municipal road and is not owned by a private or state entity.
Right, but it has to be in the cover letter that confirmation that the structure proposed for replacement is located on a municipality-owned road. So I would assume that you have need paperwork, or, right?
I don't know, that's a good question.
I would think you'd use DOT's map. Those are all accepted by the state as municipal roads. And the town supposedly yearly updates those with DOT. And that's what the state goes by for their funding and stuff, so I would assume.
So we
Those would be the document you could use, but I don't know that.
We should probably check that out, because
Okay.
you wouldn't want to be scrambling for that at the last minute.
Right.
I have that. Joe and I did the maps with the DOT,
Right.
so we have that.
Okay. So you can get that for those 3 sites?
Sure, we have it in hand, yep.
Okay, all right. I also talked to the fire chief to get letters for safety impacts, if there should be a complete failure for any of these. I think West Shore Drive, I went to the tax map and counted the number of houses on that dead-end road past the culvert, and there's 141 homes on that. Even Newbridge, between New Hampshire and Maine, if the canal bridge gets closed, and we have a problem with that New Bridge culvert, there's 101 homes between the 2 states that's gonna be hiking up Youngs Ridge Road. Or even if the culvert doesn't fail, they're gonna be going down New Bridge Road, beating up that road that's already in poor shape. So, I mean, Canal Bridge is gonna seriously affect that road. So that's another consideration that, you know, we need to make. And I know, I went over Canal Bridge over the weekend, and the potholes are unreal.
The guardrail also isn't attached at all.
Only one part of the
On
floor,
one
yeah.
part, you can
Yeah.
kind of swing it. And that's been brought up on the annual reports to us from the DOT. So I think if Wakefield doesn't close it before us, we're going to probably have to close it. There's just no protection. It's only 6,000 pounds. Your new SUVs, I think, are 9,000. And picture one hauling a boat and,
I think it's 6 ton, isn't it?
no, it's 6,000 pounds for the canal.
GBW.
3 ton for Canal Bridge.
Is it 3 ton?
3 ton for Canal Bridge, that's it. And below, on New Bridge, by the way, below those culverts, a little lower where the driveway is, and you can see, what is it, Horn Pond? On the other side, the water was overtopping the road in the last rain, and I spoke to Tom Gore, and he says this happens often.
Yeah,
So we've got
right
more-
across from Horn Pond. where there's
Yeah,
that dirt driveway.
right there, yeah, and you can see where the
I
wa-
talked to Pat Stevens 2 weeks ago, when we had all that rain. I think his brother lives there.
It's his brother Mark's house.
Yeah,
the
and I
driveway.
asked him if there was a culvert, because I didn't know if there was a culvert that was plugged that needed attention. He said, no, it happens, it just happens all the time when you
Yeah.
have heavy rain or...
It's all swamp.
Right.
It is, it's swamp on
Yeah.
both sides, but that might be something that we could get a culvert in on a grant too.
The water, there is a ditch line, I guess, that goes from his brother's driveway to his driveway, and then I think it crosses into Horn, I think.
I think so too.
But it just takes a while. He said by the end of the day, that'll all be gone.
Yeah,
So,
We all tired?
I'm tired of looking up fish.
So if the grants go through, are we looking to replace what is already there or update? And I know someone was talking about box culverts or getting away from the traditional culvert, with the rib lining, is that
Yeah, the state doesn't want that done anymore.
right? So if we get the grant, we have to,
We're applying for West Shore and for, H Road, we're applying for it to slip line. New Bridge, I don't think that we'd even have a chance of getting that, any kind of funding to, well, first of all, the culvert's really undersized. And it was running really hard yesterday when I was down there. So, I mean, it's that.
Do you think they'll award you the grants for the slip line though?
I don't know.
And if
If we can convince them, more for safety than anything, the H Road, we lose H Road and the north side of town is cut off from the south side of town. How far around do you need to go for, fire, ambulance,
dump,
the dump? West Shore, you've got 141 homes that would be affected.
I guess the reason I asked the question was if you don't go with this slip, they want you to go with the ones that don't have the,
They want natural
Are they
bottoms.
not as strong or something? Why would we go one way or the other, I guess? Do you know that question? And that was my next.
Yeah, so it's certainly, yeah, I mean, the estimate that we got for H Road was, I thought, a really good price, even if we had to pay for the whole thing.
And what type was that?
That's a slip line.
Okay.
And I think that was
And
$34,000.
it's a bonus, because we already have a cement culvert in there anyway in the road, so,
And I didn't realize that one side of the culvert was actually cement, and, the information I was given is that more than half of that culvert is cement, and only, one part of it was the galvanized, which is all rotted.
Right, that makes sense.
the cement will last you 50 to 75 years as opposed to your slip lining, which is 20 to 25. So your investment is greater, but it's also far less maintenance in the long run because the stuff won't get caught up in it.
I was just gonna say about the slip lining, I think there was, Langley said at another meeting that they'd have to shut, like West Shore Drive, they'd have to shut the road for at least 3-4 days or something.
No, if we were gonna replace it, they could leave one lane open and do that. We might have to shut it down for a short period of time, because when they actually would put the culvert in the water and push it through, then yeah, you'd have to shut the road down, because because they like to do it with an excavator, 'cause it's less time, it's more convenient to do it with an excavator, you pull it through, and, when I talked to Reggie, he probably thought maybe it'd be closer to a half hour and that's it, then they'd be going back to possibly one lane.
Right, as opposed to replacing.
Yeah, replacing it, and that's just, yeah.
Days for the road,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah,
Those are all good reasons to.
Yeah, so, I mean,
That's some good reasons
and also
to-
when we go to draft the language to the state in the cover letter and in the explanations as to why we're not doing or why we don't want to do the culvert the way they want us to, certainly, like I said, I've asked for a letter from the fire chief, and we have 140 homes where there's a lot of elderly. There's no kids that live down there, but there's a lot of elderly people that, if you lose the culvert, where do we have to go? I think before they used Pepin's land.
Yeah, you used to be able to come.
Does he own Pepin, does Pepin own that land anymore?
No.
He sold the piece where you used to be able to come through.
So, that's an option that's probably not there anymore. So, these are all, ways that we need to, really think about how we're gonna draft it, to convince them that we should do it this way. Like I said, Newbridge, I think, is an entirely different thing, where we need to, really think about how that one should be done. And, that's where I need the expertise of you guys who, work on roads, as far as what you think the way to go is with that particular culvert.
Do you feel that Newbridge Road, it's not road, do you feel it's a lot like the Hopper? As far as what's underneath it, and
I'm not really sure, do you know much about that, Dennis, the New Bridge, how that was?
That's by the lake and all that, it's all built up
Yeah.
rock. Just like the part of the Flat Ground Road is.
Yeah.
Down by the bog, that's all rock base. And what they did was they put all the rock in, then they put some more than likely sandy material, which probably at the time came out of the pit that Clinton owned.
Yeah.
Back, but long before it was Clinton's, but Hans owned all that. And once they paved that, it was pretty good for a long time. And then what happened is, when you started using this salt, in a stronger mixture of salt, the stuff would melt and get in a crack.
Yeah.
And the water would go down there and wash the sand out of the rock.
Yeah.
Okay? And so that's why you've got all this stuff, because all the sand's gone into Hans Pond. And so the only way to fix that in reality is to tear the pavement up, put some good crushed material in there and compact it into that rock.
Or even like a geotextile fabric.
Well, however you want to do it, you still need
Right.
a solid base over that rock, 6 inches of good 3/4 crushed,
Yeah.
or something like that, it'll pack good. And maybe you mix some of the, like say, put the fabric, or some of the cement mix in it, or whatever you want to do, then you pave it, then you'll have it.
Right.
But you could never in a million years ever afford to tear that road out and build a new stretch of road. The only ones that could do that is the federal government. And so the difference is between that and the Hopper. The Hopper was built on swamp. And again, it was filled with sand which is now same material that is Kyle Bird's pit.
Yeah.
And that's all that's put over that mud. And it was built up and built up and built up. I mean, I remember before the Hopper was paved. And then what they did, they decided to tar it. And what they did then was spray it. That's why you get like up on some of these roads, say like Lakeside Drive and different ones, Loop Road, all these roads, you got pavement about this thick. Because for many years, they sprayed it and sand sealed it.
Yeah.
And that's how they got the built up. And then when they stopped doing that is when they started using the chip seal. And that's before they started using hot top. And so that's why you really don't have any, other than what people have put up there over the years. It's very expensive. And this is why I believe, and some people take this stuff personal, but I don't believe, whether it's current road commissioners or past road commissioners, or who knows who we're gonna have in the future, have the education and the knowledge to look at this stuff. And I honestly believe you have to have an engineer look at it and tell the town what they need to do with it. And if it costs $1 million, it's $1 million. We used to have the problem up here on the H Road, on the back stairs with that ledge. The town fixed that 5 times. Different road commissioners. And finally we got an engineer to go out, and it's pretty good now. We put dynamite up there, we put in trenching, we did this, we did that. It was never fixed, was it, Robert? Not till we had an engineer to go look at it. And that's what I think we have to do with this stuff. You know, there's big money. There's big money.
And
Right.
yeah, and when are we throwing good money after bad?
When are we now?
We're doing it now.
Well,
No.
okay.
I mean, well, that's, you know, the town has to decide that that's what we're doing. It's,
Oh, I appreciate that.
You know.
Do that. The only way the town can do that is the town, the road commissioners, the road committee has to come up with some kind of a plan to present to the town. It's no different than we were talking about West Shore Drive, when Dave Langley was talking about the culvert in West Shore Drive. You know, it's gonna be a disaster. What do you do? The town doesn't have an EMA director. The EMA director should be working with the fire department, the road commissioners, the road committee, the rescue, and they all should be sitting down as a group, what are we gonna do? And come up with a plan. So that when that thing does go to hell, whether you go into Pepin's Pit and just start hauling rock to fill that temporarily and get some gravel on it so you can get in and out. I mean, you could do that. I know it seems a little ridiculous, but with the type of people we have in construction in this town, you could do that overnight. And you'd be back using the road tomorrow. It'd be a temporary thing till you could fix it, but it's not fair to Joel, or Will, or Tucker, or Dave Langley. It's not fair to anybody to say that this is your responsibility, what are you gonna do to it? How are you gonna fix it? I can make out like I know everything, but I really only know about 10%, all right? And I always have an opinion and an answer for everything, but that doesn't mean I'm right. What I want to do is open the conversation so that people can get on the same page and working together and have a solution. And you guys have been spinning your wheels on this for a long, long time with no help. And then finally you're getting some help, but you really need more help from the selectmen to coordinate the efforts. And we need an EMA director. I can't imagine why we don't have one. I don't know
Nobody
what
wants
we're
the
gonna do if
job.
We get a disaster.
Nobody wants a job.
They will do it if you pay.
Exactly.
Every town has one. And I tell you, having lived through a disaster in this town and being part of the process,
Yep.
when I went down to school, and Robin will tell you, the Red Cross opened the school up, and we fed people down there, and everybody worked together. The school department, the road commissioners, the superintendent, the selectmen, EMA guys, the fire chief, every night we had a meeting in this town hall to address all the issues, didn't we, Rob? Every night. And that was for 10 days straight.
Oh, yes.
And I tell you, if we have something happen today, and the way this town's been run the last 5 years, I don't know what's gonna happen, because everybody's gonna go different directions. And nobody's gonna be on the same page. I'm in charge, I'm not in charge.
As far as an emergency, the fire chief has all rights over everybody. He would make the decisions when it comes to a directly emergency situation. He's in charge over the selectmen. If there's that culvert goes down there, what he says, it will go. And no matter what the selectmen do, we're on an emergency scene, even a state trooper, the fire chief is in charge. You know, the state troopers might be in charge, but overall, you look in the state statute, the fire chief at any emergency has total control over selectmen and anybody, so he would take the ball.
I agree with what you're saying, Robert. What I'm saying is, the EMA director is the one that coordinates everything.
He helps the fire chief.
I'm saying, when we had it,
Yeah.
the EMA director, working with everybody,
Yeah.
everybody did their thing.
Yeah.
He's the one that worked with the county, the state, the federal
He
government,
does.
the roads, the
Right, he does the
bookkeeping, I guess.
basically, yeah.
And that's where everybody calls,
Right.
because the fire chief's too busy.
The fire chief would, him and the EMA director works together. so-
Right.
Right.
But overall, the fire chief would have the.
No, I appreciate
ultimate
that.
say.
But we have nothing. We have no plan.
That's what David said the other day, we have, let's go, we need a plan, what we're gonna do. And that's why they need to go with the state.
Now try to be quiet rest of the year.
Or just let us know when you're wrong.
No. Now you ask that. You know, about a month ago at the house, my kids were there, and I had said something, and I said, no, I was wrong. So my youngest boy gets out and writes it on the calendar, Dad said he was wrong. I gotta think about it a few minutes, I said, I was really wrong. And I got near her, I erased it, so I don't know what to tell you.
So, what other words of wisdom does anyone have?
I was just looking through this for West Shore Drive, and I think there's some of the things you highlighted. I think we could answer some of these questions tonight with the people that are here. If you look at section 5, we're talking West Shore Drive, is the culvert washed out, flooded, overtopped the road, or failed in the past 20 years due to storm events? And who else are we gonna bring into the conversation to answer these questions? The culvert on West Shore Drive, Dennis?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't think, has that thing ever,
no.
so, there you go, number 5. Do you want this back?
Yeah, because it's,
You can note on it.
Yeah, 'cause it's-
I would go through, I would read those off and see what we can come up with.
these are highlighted because it's going to Dave Langley for his input.
I know,
So it's,
I feel
yeah,
like I think we could answer a lot of those things tonight. I'd be willing to give my input on the highlight. I just read through it, and I think that between the people here, it wouldn't take that long to just go through those and answer some of the questions quickly to help you fill that thing out more fully.
no.
Like that one, the first, section 5 has West Shore Drive culvert ever given out or overtopped, and I would say no. I mean, I can't remember that ever happening. Dennis can't.
I remember when they installed it, so.
Right. Which was, what, in the 80s, right? And then,
What about Hopper, or not Hopper, H Road?
well, I don't know, I would just tend to go through the West Shore Drive one, and then move on to the
Concentrate on one, get that one done.
Yeah, because I feel like this is a really important, it says like, what is the
With the current,
condition?
what is the current condition?
I would say that thing's quite rusted.
It's poor.
Didn't we get a report on it?
Very poor.
Very poor.
Yeah.
And in the plan, and you said that there's what, 5 houses going in there this summer, or there's going to be?
There's 11, according to Joyce, 11 projects, construction projects that are,
And they've been working there all winter long plowing, and contract's been in and out, you know.
let's see, and that's,
You won't put on that, let's see what the state, rated it as.
Yeah, that's what I-
the state rated it as fair.
Fair.
Because they did it in January when the ice was up so high, they couldn't see the damage in the culvert. If you look at the pictures, it's
Can
above
they come
the,
back?
it's
Can we
above
ask
the
them to
water
come back?
line. Yeah, they're gonna come back this year.
Well, when?
Well, I asked them not to.
The road commissioners and the road committee and the town can make an assessment and say that the culvert is in extremely poor condition, it's rusted, and what other physical defects does it have? Like, part of it's gone, right?
Yeah, the bottom.
Attach pictures.
Yeah.
I showed pictures of that culvert to, DEP, and they said that it appeared to them that it was an imminent danger of failure.
Well,
is what-
that way on the
Yes.
street, he said it wouldn't be-
Good one.
And then
When
it
we send
says,
that application in, can we send pictures?
That's
Yeah,
what-
the pictures need to go, yes, I have pictures, so,
Okay.
So there's another one
They
done.
can see, and they can make their own judgment of,
Right.
bad for it, but the DOT said it's bad, that's what it needs to go in, that DOT said this is bad, and the guy's, and the person's name.
did you say DOT or DEP?
DEP.
DEP,
The DEP.
yeah.
You gotta-
Yeah, because the DEP is the ones who are running the grant. It's not, the DOT.
And then the next one says how many years?
How many years do you estimate the culvert crossing would likely have a complete failure, complete collapse, or total washout? And how many years? 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10, 15?
Time.
Yeah,
DEP says it should be imminent.
If it's imminent, then that's
That's the one.
one out of 3.
At least in the flood zone, isn't it, Leslie?
It's, there is not, it's not in a flood zone.
Really?
No, not on the FEMA maps, no.
Holy moly, you gotta be kidding.
No, because I went downstairs and checked the maps.
That is crazy. Okay.
Okay. What sort of impacts would occur, that I'm waiting for the letter from the fire chief, and I'll draft some language for that, because that could, that would be bad.
yeah, definitely.
Separate one that talks about how many residences would be cut off. for certain-
That I've already got, that I already filled in.
That's not-
There's 75 year-round homes, 66 seasonal homes that would be cut off.
It's almost worth putting that information in, so that, what would the impact be? It would be like a lot of stranded people,
Yeah.
It would be a lot of impact.
Stranded people and fire and
Elderly
ambulance.
people, yes.
Right, and then
There's
you
no
just can't
people.
respond effectively.
A lot of this, Gavin, is, cost and budget information is that we can't answer that. Or at least I can't. That's going to the road commissioner, who,
Right, well, Joe's right here.
but no, this isn't his culvert.
Oh.
He's got the one, I gave him for Newbridge, because that's his culvert.
It's not on there, right?
No.
Okay.
But
yeah.
the, H Road and West Shore is Dave Langley.
Yeah.
So, and I went through and highlighted, the information that I needed their assistance with, in order
Yeah,
to,
well, I'm just thinking that the more we can fill out tonight, it's like, we pretty much got everyone here except Dave Langley, so.
yeah.
So the highlighted ones are the ones we have to
Highlighted the
answer.
ones that, yeah, I need him to look at. Here's the other one.
Is that the H Road one right there?
Yeah, this is the H Road one, and this is the West Shore Drive one.
Yeah, we can try, because a couple of the same, it's gonna be the same questions, right?
Yeah,
Right.
the H Road one, right there.
So the same thing for, what is the current condition of the culvert / crossing? We got Will right here, I mean, it's right.
It's a cement culvert all the way up through, and so, I mean, I looked in
Yeah,
there.
how many foot is that?
I think it
metal?
was, that was metal. It's cement all the way up, and there's just a little piece in there that's metal. I don't know if they ran out or what.
Well, they
I think it's like
expanded the
15
road.
feet of metal culvert, if I remember right when I crawled in there, I think it's like 15, 20 feet.
So that's longer than I thought it was. I thought it was, I always thought it was on both sides.
No, I think it's in there, the metal is in there about 15 feet, if I can recollect my memory when I crawled in there.
On both sides?
No, just one.
Oh, just one?
Then the
On
other,
both sides.
Really? 'Cause-
When they widened the road, they had to do something.
Right.
Because at the, on the one side, when I went down there, it was, all I saw was, the concrete.
If they widened the road, they probably only did one side with,
With the metal.
I
right.
don't remember. The beaver
That's
dam,
probably
the
why-
reason why I went in there, because the beaver dam, so I don't remember what was on the other side. On the downhill side is metal.
Okay.
So there's about 15 feet of
15 feet of metal.
braided metal
Yeah.
culvert on the outfall.
On the outfall, correct.
Yeah, and that's good information to put on
Yeah.
there. And then about how long do you think until it would give out? We got that same 1 to 3, 5.
Again, who knows?
Right, but we gotta put something on the.
they have a time span, what, like 1, 3, 5, I mean,
How bad is it? Does it have holes in it? Is it falling apart?
I have to call in there, I mean, from what it looked like, it's not, I mean, the metal parts it's
The
rotten.
metal part is rotted, but the...
But the cement is fine, there's nothing wrong with the cement,
Right,
so.
so we didn't have a collapse on one side.
How were they joined together? How does the cement butt to the,
See, I don't think there's metal on the other side.
There's,
I don't remember.
There's a short piece of metal pipe run, if you go down, if you're gonna head down, on this side, on the right side of the road, cement, and on the left side of the road is metal. There's only a short piece, and the rest of it, I believe, is all concrete.
I'm just wondering if the water can get underneath the metal, if it's washing out.
But if we had, well, over there is that point, we probably would've had something already, but I think there's only a short piece that's only metal.
So we just have to figure out how long we think the piece of metal would last, because that's effectively all we are considering, because if that gives out, the thing's given out. So how long do you think it would last?
that metal's gone.
Yeah, so it could be any time.
Hardly, it would last. So it'd be the 1 year, 3 year time span, I mean. if the-
This is the one, that's the one side of the culvert with the cement.
See, because that's the right side, if you go down, that's all cement, and, then that's the metal piece on the left side.
Must have.
See, I think they pushed that, I don't know if they pushed that in there or what, I don't know, before my time.
They probably cemented it in, so.
Basically didn't.
I don't,
Probably just stuck in the end of it.
Rocks under it to hold it up.
Most you'd have to do is go down there and look, I mean, I was down there today, and there's metal on the left side, I would have to go in there and look. Because we were gonna crawl through it that day when, we measured it, but I had no wages, I wasn't gonna go in there barefoot.
And the water's higher now than that,
Yeah.
then.
Okay.
Anyone else? Like I said, I'm open to all kinds of questions, ideas. These are just pictures of the, that I had taken from here,
It
the
sounds
ones that
like-
you looked at on the town
We're
web.
going in the right direction. He's got his paperwork. David Langley's got his, that,
Yeah, let me get this back,
I don't know how soon,
yeah.
guys can get to it.
Like I said, I think, Newbridge is, we should be shooting for the September round.
Right.
Because we gotta sit down and really brainstorm how to do that, the most cost-effective way.
Right.
And, these two, I think we should put in for the slip lining for this round.
Yeah, definitely West Shore, I mean, over Ridge Road, I'd do West Shore before,
Well,
but it depends.
Yeah, my thinking is, we've got 2 rounds of grants. You know, the one right now, and then in September, the second round opens up. If they deny us on the slip lining for these 2 culverts, we've got another opportunity to revise our thinking and see if we can, hopefully we can be effective in what we're saying to the state
I mean, I feel like West Shore Drive, if we could sell it on the, because we have no fire protection, no rescue, no nothing on the side, we should be able to sell that to them, and hopefully somebody from the state will, oh yeah, maybe we should, but I don't know.
And hopefully looking at the, on H Road, where we have only 15 foot.
How long is the full culvert, wasn't it like?
60, I think it's 68 feet.
So they were gonna have to, what was it, put two plastic culverts together or multiple.
No, it's one fused pipe together.
Yeah.
It's one just, and then I think cause he estimated a little bit more, cause we were gonna put it longer on each end. Cause where the culvert is now, it's just the bank and the beaver's been in there. So we wanna get the culvert out a little bit more if that's what we're gonna do, I mean. So, yeah, I think he was like 70 feet, I think he estimated it for,
Yeah.
or more. I
And
didn't
that was
see
the 34,000, right?
Yeah, which I thought that was pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Oh, I did too. I was surprised when I saw that estimate.
And how do you think that would affect the, fish passage? I mean, it's not gonna change it overall that much.
No,
Let's say
do you mean once they put it in?
Yeah, well, because that's part of the grant, right, is how it affects.
I don't think, it'd probably be better for them, because it's all smooth inside, the slip line's all smooth, so I mean, they just flow right through
Actually,
with the water.
that's not,
Oh,
they want the variations in the bottom. And actually, if you look at the cement, the water comes out and goes down.
Yeah.
So the fish can't get back up.
Oh, so they want the
Right,
fish.
they want to be able
back.
the fish to go both ways.
I mean, you have there's quite the drop off on that side.
I don't see any fish going
Yeah.
from Square Pond up through that pond.
No. I think it's,
You know, Horn, I mean, New Ridge Road,
Yeah.
you know, that's a totally different story.
But we're trying to work with getting them to give us money because of the fish, so,
Well, that's what I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
What
about any
you say
turtle?
It's not gonna-
benefits of the slip lining would be.
it's not gonna benefit the fish per se. It's gonna,
That's not in our favor.
no, it's not in our favor. We have to sell it
But you're gonna
for
try
another reason,
first.
another
If
way.
that doesn't go through, then.
And in September, and then when it opens up in September, we reapply, and we'd have to like rethink what we were doing.
So we should really be focusing on West Shore for
Yeah.
this first round.
Well, I mean, there's no,
Is that out of the three projects, West Shore is definitely the priority and
It's the
that has the best credentials and everything.
right, it's the
So
priority.
Dave Langley should be focused on number one.
Right, it's the priority, but,
Yeah.
if we might as well send in for the other one, for the money anyway.
Right, well,
And if they say no, then, yeah,
Open bottom culvert on that one to allow the fish passage.
right. So if they say no, then we rethink
That,
it.
right?
Yeah,
It's just not our proposal right now.
right now, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and actually, so they have the two grants, at the different times, and then there's possibly a third one also.
I
So,
guess it depends on how many people apply and how much money they use up, right?
well, it's for the whole state, so there's gonna be a lot of,
$5 million, right?
Yeah.
That's not that much.
no.
Right, so there'll be less for the second and third round.
Well, no, they've, it's 2.5 million for each round, is what they've allocated.
So it kinda cuts it right in half then. So they only have 2.5 million for this round and 2.5 million
2.5 million for the next round, yeah,
Oh, that meant,
That's five for each.
yeah,
And they match up to 90,000,
95,
95,000.
yeah.
Well, I would say definitely concentrate on that West Shore,
No, the whole,
100%.
you can't go over 95.
Well,
That's the
town
maximum grant.
Give us
I mean, if they give us 95 and it costs us, the town 100, just to throw out a number, they don't care, as long as we meet our matching, they don't care what we spend.
So how do we decide how much we're going to match? Because that's even going to be scored.
I thought it was a 50-50 match.
Right, we get the estimate for West Shore, you said, did you get an estimate?
no, I gotta get the dimensions of the
Yeah, and then
culvert.
we just divide that by two, and then,
I didn't know if they had that in here or not. No, we have to call the state probably.
Yeah.
We'll have to call the state.
I mean,
Right, but they don't say it's a 50-50 match, right? They just want to know what the match
I
is.
believe it was, with my conversations with, when I went to the stream crossing class, I thought he said it was 50-50.
Local matching funds must be included, the department
They want
can't
the
fund.
municipality to be involved, not just getting us involved.
Joe, you have any questions? No?
Nope.
How's it look to you?
Well, I mean, I'll mull through it, and obviously gotta get out there and we'll assess it, figure out what we need to do as far as an oversizing the culvert, and,
Yeah.
but I've never actually stopped and looked at the culvert, so, without actually putting my eyes physically on it.
They're, what they're looking for is 1.2 bank full width. So they actually want the culvert to be wider than the stream. So, which in the other two, we'd never meet.
No.
Is there a timeline for this? Like, is this something you would like to get through the first, or are we talking 1 second on this one?
West Shore and H Road, the deadline for submitting is June 3rd. We've got to get it to you before then. So, we have to have, at the very latest, to submit it to you would be, I think, the 28th for your selectmen meeting. So we've got to pull that,
So a couple weeks?
yeah. And I think, if my memory is correct, the second round, is going to be released the beginning of September. So we have the summer to work on that.
All right, so you have more time,
And we're supposed to meet with, I think Dad wants to meet with the fire chief anyway. They just want to have a plan at the fire station, so anybody new coming in or, whatever, they can just pull that off the shelf and boom, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We just want to have a plan at the fire station for people at the fire, and for us too, just in case that culvert does go, we can just pull that off and then we go to work, do what we have to do, so.
So when you meet with them, just ask them, I've got to send him an email giving him my deadlines, because that's what he asked me to do that, so I've got to do that this evening. But if you just remind him that, about the letters
Okay,
for the culverts, for safety impacts and, any problems that he might see if those culverts failed.
all right,
But I have to get an email to him too.
okay.
All right, anything else?
You do the road committee and the ordinance next time?
She just gave it to me tonight, and I only have one copy, so,
We need time to think about that.
and a pen right down, she just told me. Remember anything.
what are your thoughts? I mean, I'm sure you have thoughts, what are your thoughts? So if you want to talk about it.
Well, there's a more.
Write it down, I don't remember nothing.
I obviously have my own opinion, but I would really like to have an opinion. Just don't care. We're gonna have to, make our recommendation on these, two ordinances next week. I mean, I just, I'll give my recommendation, but, I with the road committee opinion and stuff too,
I mean, we need time to think about it. I mean, it's written, and I don't even know if that's a final draft.
We should see the road committee wrote the original ordinance. So again, I wish we had been called in sooner because we're very familiar with it. I haven't looked at it.
I was talking about that change as, Cindy, which, as you know, we all feel that it needs to be changed.
Oh, yes.
And I was also talking about the, road committee ordinance and the road commission ordinance.
I mean, it's hard to make a judgment on a document that were just handed to you, and then I don't have copies to give to everybody.
I can appreciate that, Leslie.
So I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna email it to everyone so they have it.
Maybe at the public hearing, is that Monday?
It's Monday, yeah.
Maybe by the time people can look through it and give their opinion at the public hearing, it'll be easier for the Warren Finance Committee to,
I mean, we don't have time to have another meeting to talk, you know, with all of the information, so, I mean, in that respect, we're between a rock and a hard place.
yeah, that's fine. Because the Warren Finance Committee, I just wanted to remember this with them. And maybe, you know, it might be, we can find out what different people think about it.
What are the legalities of having a public hearing when the documents aren't out? What, do you know, Kim?
What's that?
The legalities of having a public hearing for a document that's not finished being drafted.
If it's not finished, when you change a word in it, you know, it says a word,
Yeah?
that means you have to have another public hearing.
So, but they don't have to put it out beforehand?
It's just like with our stuff downstairs, Leslie. Once that document, and Gavin will tell you, once it's there, then you have your public hearing. Here's what you have your public hearing about. If you change any of that, and Gavin will tell you, you've got to go back and have a new one. And this is why quite often, they have a public hearing. We've done it with the zoning in the past, and we have a public hearing, and the planning board goes back and addresses some of the issues that were brought up at the public hearing, then they have a second public hearing. That's why quite often they have two public hearings. But the sudden they've already had one, and now they're having another one Monday, and they're saying they might make some changes depending on what happens at the public hearing. Well, if you change it, then you have to have another public hearing.
I understand that. What I'm saying, Dennis, is that the public isn't given the document beforehand to think about. I mean, and I find that to be a problem.
You can get a copy of the document.
But I know, but a lot of people don't.
Oh, true, yeah.
A lot of people don't. I mean,
That's
it's,
in front of me right now, yeah.
is it, should it be posted on the website? I mean, more people go to the website, I think, than go to,
I think it'd be nice.
Before a hearing, I think it should be on.
I think you should have access to it.
Some amount of time before the hearing, that's standard.
No.
I mean, how do you guys do it, Gavin? You've been on the planning board for quite a while. I mean, how do you guys normally do it? Because every year we have public hearing on
We just do
this.
the public notice, it doesn't say what it pertains to, it doesn't give the whole document, you know what I mean?
But do they have it on the website?
Just the public notice that we're gonna have a hearing on X, Y, and Z, it doesn't
doesn't give
display
the-
X- No, it doesn't display X, Y, and Z below it, though, on the right side. Why shouldn't it? It's just another click on the screen, it's not any harder to have it there on the website. I mean, I think it would make it for better public comment, because people come in, they unfamiliar, it's gonna be hard for them to comment and give constructive criticism.
You know, and then you'll hear through the grapevine, well, this, and this is happening, and actually, they were given bad information, and I just think that, there should be some advance.
Absolutely, no, I agree, yeah. And I think that in this case, you might just end up getting more comment, changing it, getting more hearings, and then you might just run out of time, it won't make it onto the warrant, and I think that's okay. I mean, maybe you just have to have roll it in with the special school budget meeting, town meeting, or, you know what I mean, it's just hard to know.
Yeah.
Because all these documents are liquid documents, they're never done, I mean. So,
Like we thought we were done with the timber.
right.
Pulling in it.
But I think that's a fantastic idea on the website. I don't feel like it's much harder than just putting, that it's gonna be, the hearing's gonna be happening, and then attach the document, so.
I just wrote it down, I'll mention it tomorrow.
All right, well, I'm gonna be in tomorrow too, so I've got some, research to do,
Right.
so. All right, anyone else?
Motion to adjourn?
Hey. Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Let's go. All in favor?